Our next storyteller is a musician, actor, and comedian. You can check him out in the movie Make Believe, his full-length movie for free on thegreatduke.com, and also Addiction Disposition, his experimental electronic punk band on any music streaming service. Please welcome Bobby Lagerstrom.
So this story is about my ex-girlfriend, Ashley, okay, and how I admire her tenacity and her communication skills. So a little backstory, I was dating Kayla for 3 years. We were high school sweethearts, but when I went to U of M, we kind of grew apart from each other, and I broke up with her 2 days before my birthday, just to show her that I'm still in charge. So Ashley and I, we had mutual friends. We went to the same college. We saw each other more, so naturally we gravitated toward each other. So 2 days after I broke up with Kayla, Ashley initiates birthday sex, which is pretty cool. But then afterwards, she tells me that she wants to take a break as to not seem too overtly sexual. So I admire her honesty. Sure, I'm a little upset, but at least we established we're together. So this is the orgy story, part of the story. So, two weeks later, I throw a party for no reason other than the chance to hook up. So I invite 10, 15 of my friends over, and the clock strikes midnight. So Kayla, Ashley, me, and my friend Shorty, who is inexperienced sexually, and my friend Red, who is a redheaded virgin. We go upstairs to smoke a bowl and chill out. Now you're probably asking yourself, how does one suggest an orgy? Well, when there was a lull in the conversation, Ashley says, "Want to have an orgy?" And so I'm getting some mixed emotions in my head, like, oh man, this girl wants to have an orgy, and oh man, this girl wants to have an orgy. But then everyone else is kind of taken aback from the question, but everyone's drunk, high, and a little horny, so they're in. So we go downstairs into the main floor in this little room with hardwood floors and a gray futon. And you're probably also asking yourself, why not just stay in your room? Well, I'm a little bit of a clean freak, so a gangbang on my bed doesn't sound very sanitary to me. So we pair off. Okay, so Shorty and Ashley are on the floor. Me, Kayla, and Red are on the futon. Okay, I'm rocking the missionary position, nothing too fancy. Red is on his side, for lack of a better word, fingering my ex's clit. Okay, so he's like my little assistant. Okay, 3 minutes later, Ashley yells, "Switch!" Like we're square dancers. So I thought that the man was supposed to be taking charge of the situation, but I didn't want to mess up the flow of the orgy, so I'm glad that she at least had the confidence to know what she's doing. So Shorty and I switch. So my two best friends are having sex with my ex, and I am having sex with the person who I'm seeing. And when I penetrate, she does like the Titanic thing to my chest, like the steamy window, which I thought was kind of cute and romantic at the time. And then 3 minutes later, another switch! Okay, so at this point, it seems like she's going for quantity over quality. And it also feels like a performance-based reviews, like I'm gonna get some kind of assessment at the end of this. Now, if you recall, it's been 2 weeks since I've had sex, which is a long time for a 20-year-old who just got out of a long-term relationship. So a couple pumps into my ex, and I'm like Old Faithful. There's a puddle on the futon. My work here is done. I am finished. Okay? So, I don't want to go back in. You're probably saying, you're 20, why don't you just jump back in? Well, I'm hosting a party. I want to tend to my guests. I want to make sure everyone's happy. But I also don't want to be rude and leave the room. So I sit in the corner of the dark room, I don't know what proper orgy etiquette is. So I'm just kind of sitting there waiting. But shortly thereafter, me, Shorty, and Ashley leave the room. Okay? And it's funny because they don't close the door all the way, so the door is kind of ajar, so you can see Red and Kayla kind of hanging out, doing their thing, still after everyone leaves. Which is cute, because they do end up together, they do end up dating, so that's a happy part of the story. But it turns out that Ashley was mad that I finished from my ex, which you know, I admire her honesty and like her, you know, willing to communicate that with me, but also she suggested the orgy and said, I'm stressed from all the switching. I'm stressed from all the switching, and you know, Kayla's vagina was familiar. You know, it's like a beacon guiding me home. You know, like it was familiar ground. But you know, the next day it was great because you know we actually went back in the room where it happened. We went to ground zero and we were like joking about it. Like she was joking about it like it was no big deal. You know, and I admire you know that she can joke about something that's life changing, like an orgy, like it's no big deal. But you know, it's not all great. A couple months later, things aren't going well. She confesses her love for me, but I also found out that she cheated on me. So, you know, at the time, I'm emotionally dependent and I have an anxious attachment style. And she gets into a fight with me about how I'm not emotionally invested and I'm not communicating well with her. Which is rich because she cheated on me. And she told me that she loves me first. And I waited because I actually wanted to mean it. That's not a joke. So we digress into how we're dependent on each other and how we're depressed together. We're two people who hate our lives, but are also making the other person's lives worse. And then she tells me that she has thoughts of suicide. Yeah, which makes me uncomfortable. And if you're feeling uncomfortable right now, try dating that. That's no good. So I suggest that we break up because I feel like you should have to love yourself before you even attempt to love someone else. She is not happy, or less happy. She's definitely less assured at this point. And basically, I admire her like willing to say that and be like honest with me that she has those kind of thoughts, but I'm not a fan of her manipulating me and guilting me into staying with her. I mean, I'm a dumb and horny 20-year-old, you know, and if the orgy story gave you any idea of what kind of person I was back then, you can see that I'm not into well-thought-out ideas. So a couple months later pass, and I've had it. I finally decided to stick up for myself, and I break up with her via John Deere letter. So I go to my college's computer lab, and I type up this 4-page letter. And I just let my true feelings fly. I just say all the things that have been on my mind that I haven't had the courage to say to her in person. And I print it off and I put it in a Meyer bag along with all the gifts that she's given me and hang it up on her doorknob because I have no balls at the time. So, you know, we all struggle with communication. You know, like no one's perfect. We all have our own ways of doing it. We try to do our best in the moment. You know, she was manipulative and upfront. I was avoidant and an asshole. But I do admire her for communicating, like at least communicating and being honest with me, even if it wasn't the healthiest of ways. Because she also taught me that out of a bad experience can come a good one. Thank you guys. That's my story.